In the muddy trenches of World War I, there was a rifle so hated by soldiers that they would literally throw it away and pick up enemy weapons instead. This was the Ross rifle, a Canadian-designed weapon that became synonymous with failure, malfunction, and death on the Western Front. Soldiers cursed it, officers banned it, and military historians dismissed it as one of the worst military rifles ever produced. But here's the secret that nobody talks about. This same failed rifle would go on to become one of the most accurate and deadly weapons in the hands of elite Canadian snipers, achieving legendary kills that are still talked about today. The Ross rifle's story is not just about mechanical failure and redemption, it's about how a weapon designed with revolutionary precision became a victim of wartime politics, inadequate testing, and the brutal realities of trench warfare. From the drawing boards of Quebec to the killing fields of France, from complete rejection to legendary status among the world's deadliest marksmen, this is the incredible true story of the Canadian rifle that nobody believed in until it proved that sometimes the most hated weapons can become the most feared. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel right now for more incredible war secrets and forgotten military stories that reveal the hidden truths behind the weapons that shaped history. The Ross rifle was born from Canadian national pride and a desire for military independence that would ultimately lead to both triumph and disaster. In the early 1900s, Canada was still very much under British military influence, relying on British-designed weapons and equipment for its armed forces. Sir Charles Ross, a Scottish-born inventor and businessman who had moved to Canada, saw an opportunity to create a uniquely Canadian military rifle that would not only serve the nation's forces, but also establish Canada as a serious player in military technology development. Ross was not just a dreamer, he was a skilled engineer with a deep understanding of precision manufacturing and ballistics, having already made his fortune in the firearms industry. His vision was ambitious, to create a rifle that would be more accurate, more reliable, and more advanced than anything currently in service with any military force in the world. The Canadian government, eager to reduce its dependence on British military suppliers and establish its own defence industry, enthusiastically supported Ross's project with substantial funding and official backing. The design philosophy behind the Ross rifle was revolutionary for its time, emphasizing precision and accuracy above all other considerations. Ross believed that the future of infantry combat would be dominated by skilled marksmen engaging targets at long range, rather than the mass volley fire that had characterized previous conflicts. His rifle incorporated several innovative features that were years ahead of their time, including an extremely tight barrel bore that provided exceptional accuracy, a sophisticated bolt-action system that allowed for smooth operation and consistent lockup, and precision manufacturing tolerances that were far tighter than anything being produced for military use at the time. The rifle's 303 British cartridge was loaded to higher specifications than standard military ammunition, providing increased velocity and accuracy that made it capable of precision shooting at ranges that other military rifles simply could not match. The Ross rifle's construction quality was exceptional, with each weapon being individually tested and adjusted to ensure optimal performance, a level of attention to detail that was virtually unheard of in military rifle production. When the Ross rifle entered service with Canadian forces in 1905, initial reports were overwhelmingly positive, with military testing showing that it was indeed more accurate than the British Lee Enfield rifles that it was designed to replace. Canadian soldiers training with the Ross rifle achieved remarkable accuracy scores, and military observers from other nations took notice of this innovative weapon that seemed to represent the future of military rifle design. The rifle's performance in controlled conditions was nothing short of exceptional, consistently delivering accuracy that exceeded the capabilities of any other service rifle in the world. However, These early successes were achieved under ideal conditions, with carefully maintained weapons, specially selected ammunition, and soldiers who had been thoroughly trained in the rifle's unique characteristics and requirements. The Ross rifle's precision came at a cost. It required meticulous maintenance, high-quality ammunition, and careful handling to perform at its best, requirements that would prove to be fatal flaws when the weapon was subjected to the harsh realities of combat conditions. The first signs of trouble appeared during the Second Boer War, where a small number of Ross rifles were deployed with Canadian forces for field testing. While the rifle's accuracy remained impressive, soldiers began reporting problems with reliability, particularly when the weapons became dirty or were subjected to the dust and grime of field conditions. The Ross rifle's tight tolerances, which contributed to its exceptional accuracy, also made it extremely sensitive to fouling and contamination, causing malfunctions that could leave soldiers defenseless in combat situations. More troubling were reports of bolt problems, where the rifle's complex action would jam or fail to extract spent cartridges properly, requiring soldiers to manually clear malfunctions while under fire. These issues were initially dismissed as teething problems that could be resolved with minor modifications and better training, but they foreshadowed the much more serious problems that would emerge when the rifle faced the ultimate test of World War I. When World War I erupted in 1914, Canadian forces were equipped with the Ross rifle as their primary infantry weapon, despite growing concerns about its reliability in field conditions. The transition from peacetime training to actual combat revealed the full extent of the rifle's problems in the most brutal way possible. In the muddy, contaminated environment of the Western Front, where weapons were constantly exposed to dirt, water, and debris, the Ross rifle's precision tolerances became a fatal liability. Soldiers reported that their rifles would jam after firing just a few rounds, leaving them defenseless in the middle of firefights. The bolt action, which had worked smoothly in clean conditions, would seize up when contaminated with mud or debris, requiring soldiers to use tools or even their boots to force the bolt open. Even more terrifying were reports of catastrophic failures, where the rifle's bolt would blow back into the shooter's face, causing severe injuries or death. These failures were later traced to manufacturing defects and design flaws that had not been apparent during peacetime testing, but became deadly problems under combat conditions. The Ross rifle's reputation among Canadian soldiers quickly became one of hatred and fear, with many troops refusing to use the weapon and instead picking up British Lee Enfield rifles from casualties or captured German weapons that they considered more reliable. Officers reported that soldiers would deliberately damage their Ross rifles to justify replacing them with other weapons, while others simply threw them away during combat and fought with whatever weapons they could find. The psychological impact of carrying a weapon that soldiers could not trust was devastating to morale, as troops faced the constant fear that their rifle would fail them at the crucial moment when their lives depended on it. Military censors worked to suppress reports of the rifle's problems, but word spread quickly through the ranks that the Ross rifle was a death trap that was more dangerous to its user than to the enemy. The situation became so serious that some Canadian units were effectively disarmed, as soldiers refused to carry weapons they considered unreliable and dangerous. By 1916, the Ross rifle's reputation had become so toxic that it was officially withdrawn from frontline service, replaced by the British Lee Enfield rifle that Canadian forces had originally been equipped with before the Ross was adopted. This decision was presented as a temporary measure to address supply issues, but everyone involved knew that it was actually an admission that the Ross rifle had failed as a combat weapon. The withdrawal was carried out quietly to avoid embarrassing the Canadian government and military leadership who had championed the rifle, but the damage to Canada's military reputation was significant. Military historians would later describe the Ross rifle as one of the greatest military procurement disasters in Canadian history, a weapon that had cost millions of dollars to develop and produce but had proven to be worse than useless in combat conditions. The rifle's failure was seen as evidence that Canada was not ready to develop its own military technology and should stick to proven British designs rather than attempting to innovate on its own. However, the story of the Ross rifle did not end with its withdrawal from general service, because a small number of Canadian snipers had discovered that the rifle's exceptional accuracy made it an ideal weapon for precision shooting, despite its problems with reliability in rapid-fire situations. These elite marksmen found that when properly maintained and used in single-shot mode, the Ross rifle was capable of accuracy that far exceeded any other weapon available to them. The same tight tolerances that made the rifle unreliable in combat conditions also made it incredibly precise when used by skilled shooters who understood its characteristics and limitations. Canadian snipers began requesting Ross rifles specifically for their missions, recognizing that the weapon's superior accuracy gave them a significant advantage in long-range engagements where a single, precisely placed shot could make the difference between success and failure. These snipers developed specialized techniques for maintaining and operating the Ross rifle in field conditions, learning to work around its reliability issues while exploiting its exceptional accuracy. The transformation of the Ross rifle from hated failure to legendary sniper weapon is one of the most remarkable redemption stories in military history. Canadian snipers using Ross rifles began achieving kills at ranges that seemed impossible to other soldiers, with some documented shots exceeding 1,000 yards, in conditions where other rifles would have been ineffective. The rifle's superior ballistics and precision manufacturing allowed these elite marksmen to engage targets at distances where enemy soldiers felt safe, creating a psychological impact that far exceeded the actual number of casualties inflicted. Stories of Canadian snipers and their Ross rifles became legendary among both Allied and German forces, with enemy soldiers learning to fear the distinctive crack of the rifle's high-velocity ammunition. The most famous of these snipers achieved kill counts that made them celebrities, proving that in the right hands and used for the right purpose, the Ross rifle was not a failure, but a precision instrument of war. The technical reasons for the Ross rifle's success as a sniper weapon, while failing as a general infantry rifle, reveal important lessons about weapon design and military requirements. The rifle's problems with reliability were primarily related to its use in rapid-fire situations, where the tight tolerances could not accommodate the heat expansion and fouling that occurred during sustained firing. However, snipers typically fired single shots with long intervals between shots, allowing the rifle to cool and giving them time to properly maintain their weapons between engagements. The Ross rifle's superior accuracy was the result of its precision manufacturing and tight barrel tolerances, characteristics that made it ideal for the precision shooting that snipers specialized in. The rifle's powerful cartridge provided excellent ballistic performance at long range, while its smooth bolt action allowed for quick follow-up shots when necessary. Most importantly, snipers were elite soldiers who received extensive training and had the time and resources to properly maintain their weapons, unlike regular infantry soldiers who had to use their rifles in harsh conditions with minimal maintenance opportunities. The legacy of the Ross rifle is complex and contradictory, representing both one of Canada's greatest military failures and one of its most significant contributions to military technology. While the rifle's failure as a general infantry weapon was undeniable and costly in both financial and human terms, its success in the hands of elite snipers demonstrated that the basic design was sound and that the problems were related to its application rather than fundamental flaws. The lessons learned from the Ross rifle's development and deployment influenced Canadian military procurement for decades, leading to more rigorous testing procedures and a better understanding of the difference between theoretical performance and practical battlefield effectiveness. The rifle's story also highlighted the importance of matching weapons to their intended users and missions, showing that a weapon that fails in one role may excel in another. Modern military historians have begun to reassess the Ross rifle's place in military history, recognizing that while it was indeed a failure as a mass-produced infantry weapon, it was also a pioneering example of precision rifle design that influenced the development of modern sniper weapons. Today, surviving Ross rifles are highly prized by collectors and military historians who recognize their significance in the development of precision shooting technology. The rifle's influence can be seen in modern sniper weapons that prioritize accuracy above all other considerations, accepting trade-offs in reliability and ease of maintenance in exchange for superior precision. The Ross rifle's story serves as a reminder that innovation in military technology often involves failure, and that the most important lessons are sometimes learned from weapons that don't work as intended. The Canadian soldiers who hated the Ross rifle were not wrong about its unsuitability for general infantry use, but the snipers who embraced it were equally correct about its potential as a precision weapon. This paradox illustrates the complexity of military technology development and the importance of understanding that there is no such thing as a perfect weapon, only weapons that are well-suited or poorly suited to specific missions and users. The Ross rifle's transformation from despised failure to legendary sniper weapon represents one of the most dramatic reversals of fortune in military history, proving that sometimes the weapons that everyone believes in turn out to be failures, while the weapons that nobody believes in turn out to be exactly what was needed. The rifle that Canadian soldiers threw away in disgust became the weapon that their elite marksmen used to achieve some of the most remarkable shooting feats in military history. This incredible story reminds us that success and failure in military technology are often separated by the thinnest of margins, and that the difference between a weapon's reputation and its actual capabilities can be enormous. The Ross rifle may have been the Canadian rifle that nobody believed in, but when it finally got the chance to prove itself in the right hands and the right role, it worked better than anyone could have imagined, earning its place among the legendary weapons of military history through sheer accuracy and the skill of the men who wielded it. If this incredible story of the Ross rifle's journey from hated failure to legendary sniper weapon has amazed you as much as it has amazed us, please make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. What surprised you most about how the same rifle could be both a disaster and a legend? Do you think the Ross rifle was unfairly judged? Or were the criticisms justified? Have you heard of other weapons that failed in one role but succeeded in another? We'd love to hear your perspective on this fascinating tale of military technology, redemption, and the fine line between success and failure. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more secrets of war and incredible military stories that reveal the hidden truths behind the weapons that shaped history. Ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode, because we're committed to bringing you the most amazing and surprising stories of military innovation, failure, and ultimate redemption. Join us as we continue to uncover the forgotten weapons and buried secrets that prove that in war, as in life, sometimes the greatest victories come from the most unexpected places, and the most hated failures can become the most celebrated successes.